Some people enter Harvard through legacy names or endowment connections, others through test scores and pristine resumes. And then there are those like her, those who entered each night through the service corridor with nothing but a key card, a mop, and a dream she hadn't dared to say aloud for years. Marina Ellis adjusted her faded blue work jacket as she stepped into the gleaming marble hallway of Calverton Hall, Harvard's towering citadel of theoretical science. It was 1:42 a.m. Her shift had started an hour ago, same as every night. While the rest of the world dreamed in warm beds, she moved through corridors of brilliance, cleaning around chalk-dusted desks, wiping smudged glass doors labeled with names like Dr. Elijah Runn and Dr. Louisa Tan, and emptying trash bins filled with coffee cups and crumpled equations scribbled on napkins. She never spoke to the students. Most never even saw her. But she saw them watching from the corners of rooms, always silent, always invisible. Tonight was no different. She moved quickly between classrooms until she reached room 3.24, the largest lecture hall in the building. The door was slightly ajar. The light above the lectern was still on. That wasn't unusual. Professors often forgot to shut off lights or equipment. But as she entered, something stopped her cold. The massive chalkboard at the front of the room hadn't been erased. Instead, it was covered in dense, sprawling formulas, half matrices, half poetry. They glowed faintly under the desk lamp's yellow light. Marina stared at it, frozen. The formula was elegant, complex, yet hauntingly familiar. A matrix optimization problem constrained by a nonlinear vector, something she'd seen years ago on a blurry MIT OpenCourseware lecture back when she still had internet at home. She dropped her mop. Almost reverently, she walked to the front of the room. Her fingers trembled as she picked up a piece of chalk from the ledge. Her heart raced not with fear, but with an old, unspoken hunger. Carefully, silently, she began to write. She didn't erase the professor's work. Instead, she wove her own into it line by line, question by question, adjusting angles, nudging coefficients, threading new variables with the kind of caution a musician shows when playing someone else's unfinished melody. To her, this wasn't math. It was music. Meanwhile, in a dim parking lot, Professor Elijah Rinn sighed heavily as he closed the trunk of his car. He had forgotten his lecture notes in room 3.24, handwritten drafts for his upcoming Cambridge symposium. They were critical. He couldn't risk them being misplaced. The algorithm he was presenting was cutting edge, a breakthrough that had taken him nearly a year to refine. At 2:06 a.m., he re-entered the building, his footsteps brisk, echoing softly. He didn't expect anyone to be inside. That's why, when he turned the corner and saw light seeping from beneath the door of 3.24, he slowed. His brow furrowed. He pushed the door open quietly. What he saw made him stop. A woman, young, not a student, dressed in janitor's garb, stood at the board, completely absorbed. She hadn't heard him. Her curls were pinned under a gray cap. Her back was straight, her hand steady. But what arrested him wasn't her presence. It was the math. She was correcting the final constraint of his model, the one even he hadn't cracked. And what she had written made sense. His throat tightened. She turned, sensing him. Their eyes met. She dropped the chalk. "I'm sorry," she stammered. I didn't touch anything, I swear." "What exactly were you doing?" he asked, his voice low, firm. "I was trying to understand," she whispered. "It's a nonlinear system with a nested objective, right? I wasn't going to show anyone." Rin stepped forward, eyes scanning the board. His jaw clenched. "That's not a beginner's error," he said. "Who taught you to do this?" She hesitated, then replied softly, "No one. I watched lectures at the library," she added, "before I had to drop out." "Drop out of what?" "High school. My mom got sick. Stage 4. I started working nights. That was 7 years ago." Silence. Rin really looked at her. Then, without a word, he picked up the chalk she had dropped and began writing beneath her equation. Slowly, methodically. After a few moments, he turned back to her. "You missed the coefficient on the frictional variable, but only because I introduced a new constraint in yesterday's lecture." Marina's eyes widened. "So I was close?" "You were dangerously close," he said. Closer than some of my graduate students. She blinked. I just wanted to see if I still had it. Math was always my language. He studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. My office. Don't with a uniform. Bring your brain. Wait, what? What? Rin paused at the door. Because Harvard doesn't waste talent anymore. And neither do I. And then he was gone. For the first time in 7 years, Marina Ellis didn't feel like a ghost in a temple of genius. She felt like maybe, just maybe, she was supposed to be here. The next evening at 6:59 p.m., Marina stood in front of office 407 in the Pierce Hall faculty wing. Her palms were sweaty. She'd changed into the only semi-professional outfit. She owned a pale blouse and black slacks from an interview that never called back. She knocked softly. "Come in," Rin's voice called. The office was cozy, lined with old books and papers. A massive chalkboard dominated one wall, scribbled with equations. A mug read, "Math is only scary until you understand it." Rin looked up from his desk. "You're early by 1 minute." She smiled faintly. "Wasn't sure if I'd be late by spirit." He gestured to the chair. "Seat." Marina sat, her posture upright, her hands clasped. "You think this is a disciplinary meeting?" he asked. She nodded. "You overstepped," he said, "but not in the way you think." He leaned back. "What you did was not luck. It wasn't guessing. That kind of intuition comes from immersion. So the real question is, why aren't you in school?" "I dropped out," she said. "My mother, she had cancer. I had to work. It was supposed to be temporary. She didn't make it." Rin didn't interrupt. He listened, which was somehow more terrifying. "I still study," she added. "PDFs, YouTube, library books. I keep notebooks. But I've never done anything real. I'm just a janitor." "No," Rin said sharply. "You're someone who learns without applause. That's rare." He pulled out a folder from his desk. "I checked the admissions archive," he said. "You were accepted to MIT. Full scholarship. Top percentile in the state." Then nothing. "I declined the offer," she whispered. "They never knew why. But now I do." He slid a page toward her. One line was written in ink. "If she still wants in, let her in." "I've submitted your name to the Harvard Extension School," Rin said. "Pass the placement test next month, and you're in. A donor will cover everything." "Why?" she asked, voice cracking. Rin's Eichmethirsch. "Because I've spent 2 decades teaching students who memorize well and think little. You see. And if I don't fight for minds like yours, what the hell am I even doing here?" She blinked away tears. "You'll still clean," he added. "For now. But if you pass, you'll do a lot more than clean." She stood to leave, but hesitated. "Professor," she asked, "that equation, did I really come close?" He smiled barely. "Closer than I wanted to admit." That night, as she stepped into the chilled air of Cambridge, she didn't feel invisible. She felt seen. And for the first time in years, she let herself believe, maybe my life isn't over. Maybe it hasn't even begun.